Hey everybody, welcome back to the 167th episode of Taps of Patience. I'm AJ with Subtract Manufacturing and Audacity Micro, here with Harrison at Precision Ingenuity. How you doing, Harrison?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I am doing pretty well. I did not feel like I did a lot today. That's where I'm at.
Your sentence doesn't feel like it did a lot today either.
It never does. It never does.
Got your machine up and running?
Yes, it is capable of running. Last week, we knocked out those hardened steel parts. They generally went pretty well. I had a higher scrap rate than I would have liked, but they're like, there was a couple dimensions that were sub thou, and there were a bunch of tight dimensions. So basically everything on them was like, less than 5 thou for sure, plus or minus 5, and lots of plus or minus 1s and plus or minus 2s. So the fact that I had a higher than expected scrap rate on that is maybe not that unexpected, because it took me, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 parts to get it like really running consistently. And then Jacob finished up the run, and guess what? It took him 4 or 5 parts to get him really running consistently.
And this is Tall Jacob?
That's Tall Jacob, yes. Not Subtract Jacob. Well, except they're both Subtract Jacob now, so I can't say that anymore. So Tall Jacob is ironically named Jacob Stout. That is his full name.
So do we need to say Stout Jacob?
Stout Jacob.
Instead of Tall? Yep. I wonder if Jacob will be okay with Stout Jacob instead of Tall Jacob for the other guy.
No, but then they would both be Jacobs. They would both be Stout Jacobs.
How so? Is Jacob
Tall
Stout?
Jacob is legally named Jacob Stout.
I know. And is other Jacob just Stout?
No comment. No, he's going to edit us out. He's going to edit me to sound bad. He's going to pitch up my voice 15, whatever you pitch in, 15% everywhere. And
no, you're just going to sound like Alvin and the Chipmunks the whole episode.
He'll just cut out random words from all of my sentences so it sounds like that first. No, that's what Jacob did, and that's why the first sentence sounded bad. Yep. It wasn't just me talking bad. Definitely sabotageable editing.
Oh, fair enough.
But I finished that up kind of over the weekend, and then today rolled around, and today became kind of an odds and ends day where I had 5 or 6 different Subtract quotes, 4 of which were for the same customer. And so I kind of worked on those, and I don't know, I exercised, and a friend from church was kind enough to watch the kids for 2 hours so my wife and I could go out on a date. It was just an odds and ends day. So I feel like I didn't do anything where I did lots of small things.
Gotcha. Fair enough.
So what have you been up to?
Oh, Weston had a long weekend this weekend, so he's been gone from Friday and today, so he'll be back tomorrow. And last week we've just been running around like crazy. Had to rework some of our production parts. Not rework them, just add in some more tooling. We were tumbling parts instead of adding a chamfer.
These are the anodized aluminum Datron parts that you're doing on the SVM, right?
Yeah, we were doing them without chamfer, and that's not going to be acceptable going forward. So we had to go in and add a chamfer. And so over the weekend, I switched out the program and got some new tooling, a tiny backside deburring tool from Harvey, and they look incredible. So it means we also don't have to tumble them anymore. So it added more machining time, but we don't have to tumble them to break the edges.
Yeah. What happened to the 2,000 parts that you had at Anno?
I got a sample batch back, and I think they will work. I told them to go ahead and anodize them and send them back, and we'll look through them. But they're borderline. I think they'll work. And the anodized guys, like, it's funny because we kind of went back and forth with them a little bit about if it was an anode problem or a machining problem. And before they anodized a sample from the 2000, they're like, "Oh yeah, these are deburred perfectly." And then I got the samples back, and you could still kind of just barely feel a little bit on that edge. And now they're saying that they wouldn't call that a burr. I'm like, that's fine if you don't call it a burr, but my customer calls it a burr. So, but it is what it is. We're just going to be chamfering the parts, and so it should become a non-issue.
Yeah. Is it like definitely something that was happening in anodizing though?
I think so.
Huh.
I'm 90% sure, especially because of the reaction that they had, and I'm reading between the lines, but basically what their definition of a burr versus what our definition of a burr is, they don't consider it as a burr, but we would, because your fingernail can catch it. Like you can feel it. Like it's not nothing.
Yeah.
But like
defining what a burr is actually one of those like surprisingly difficult problems that machining has that hasn't been solved yet.
Yeah.
Because any cut in an unsupported edge leaves a burr. But it may be 2 micron or 2 millionths of an inch big. Like there will always be something, but it might be really, really small.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, we kind of went back and forth a little bit on it, but I don't think it'll be a problem on these going forward. You can very easily tell that like we added like a 2 to 3 thou chamfer, and it's a major improvement. So
nice.
I'm happy with it.
Going forwards, are you going to break all the edges on every aluminum anodized part that you make, or just
probably? I mean, well, no, not necessarily. I say that the the magwells are still not chamfered. We do those via tumbling. So,
and you don't have the same issue?
We don't have the same issue on those. I'm thinking that it's probably because of how light these parts are. Because like the magwells, they're big enough and they have enough mass that in the tumbling, they do a really good job of deburring in there. But these parts are so light that I'm suspecting that there's not enough mass to like cause
enough
them
energy.
Yeah. So
that makes sense. And that's one thing that would set a rotary tumbler apart from a vibratory tumbler. Because with a vibratory tumbler, you basically get a set amount of energy going into the bowl, and it, tumbles with that amount of energy. With a rotary tumbler, you basically get a set RPM, and then the size and weight of whatever you have in there determines the energy.
Yeah.
So
we also did get a vibratory tumbler, a small one, to try out to see
like
if that
a Mr.
helps.
DeBurr or
huh?
Like a Mr. DeBurr.
Yeah, I don't know what brand it is. Weston found it, but it is whisper quiet.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it doesn't vibrate around on the floor. It's nothing like the Harbor Freight ones.
Interesting.
But it's about the same size
as the 5 pound.
Yeah, no, it's more. It's not a 5 pound. It's about the same volume as the rotary tumblers.
Okay.
So
I think those are rated to 2.5 pounds, but
it might be a little bit bigger than those, but not by much if it is. So
interesting. You should give Jacob the link, and
I'll
post
see if
it
I can
in the
get
show
that from
notes.
Weston. So,
did you get it from the company, or did you get it from like Amazon or a distributor or whatever?
I literally
Weston took care of it.
Weston ordered it. Weston took care of it. Weston did everything. It just showed up, and I was like, "Cool, let's try it." I had zero input on what he got, or where he got it, or how much it cost, or any of that stuff. Okay. I know nothing other than it's quiet and it's nice.
All the details with Harrison.
Well, I mean, we just got it. We've used it once. I haven't had a chance to really mess with it, and I've had so much stuff going on that I haven't had a chance to really look into it.
Yeah.
I will say another update. We were doing some of those medical parts on the lathe, and you know how I had that streaking issue with the 17.4 on both the lathe and on the mill?
Mm-hmm.
Something weird happened.
It magically fixed itself.
Kind of. Okay. So we were using a 4 flute from Frasia, and it was a 1/4 inch.
Uh-huh.
And we still had the streaking. We ran out of those, of the sample ones that they had, and we went to order some more, and we placed an order, and like a week went by because I knew this was going to happen, and the tool never showed up. And so Weston did some looking in, and they were back ordered like a month or so.
Oh.
And so we called up Fraser and like, hey, we're now using these in production. We need something. And so they found us the 6 millimeter version of the exact same tool. No problems.
Weird.
Like, it's just a little bit smaller, and the surface finish is like glass.
Huh.
So they don't run the 1/4 inches as much from what I've heard. And so even though it's the same process, I'm wondering if the volume of them, they can dial them in a lot better. I don't know. But like, they are just so much better. Like, zero streaking.
That's weird. I wonder if they're like ground in a different plant or something like that.
No
It's
earthly
that
idea.
metric carbide instead of the imperial carbide, or
I have no idea. But like, the streaking is gone.
huh? Did you tell Frasia?
I told them that I liked the tool. I don't know. I think I've told them about the streaking thing because I wasn't sure if it'd solve it or not. Like, I wasn't sure. But like, after running, I've run enough of these parts that I've had to switch out this to a second tool, and the second tool still doesn't have streaking. So I'm, knock on wood, on all the wood I can find, going from a 1/4 inch down to 6 millimeter. My streaking issue is now gone.
Are you taking the same depth of cut and everything?
It is the exact. All I did was I went into Fusion and I shrunk the diameter to match the new tool and reposted it. That's all I did.
Huh.
So it's the same feeds, the same speeds. I did literally nothing other than update the diameter on the tool path to reflect a 6 millimeter.
That is bizarre. You should have Frasia look into it and see if they can explain it.
So, yeah.
Because, yeah,
It,
I don't know.
it is so much better. Like, it is a night and day difference, and I am so happy with it. And one of the I think it was a listener of the podcast. I need to double check, but someone reached out to us on Instagram selling some BT, or not BT, BMT 45 live tool holders from one of their lathes. And so we've bought them from some used holders from him.
Nice.
And so when they show up, I'm going to have, when I switched out the holder, I switched it out because the finishing wasn't as good, but I saved the tool. And so I'm going to have 2 live holders is the plan. And I'm going to have a rougher and a finisher so that I can hopefully get more parts.
Yeah, that'll help.
And help my finish last longer and stay good longer. So, because I think what degrades the tools the most is that I'm roughing out the outside, and then I'm also roughing out the inside. And when I'm doing the inside, I don't have a lot of coolant that can get in there, and it's just regrinding chips.
Yeah.
So, the tool life on that, like, the tool still cuts just fine, but the surface finish is unacceptable. So, I'll just cycle them through. I'll have a finisher and a rougher, and I've done that with one other tool, and the tool life I'm getting out of it is incredible by doing that, by splitting it between 2 tools. So, and that specifically is a full radius groover that I'm using to do an internal groove. And it was dying really quick. It was only lasting like 6 parts. And now I have a rougher and a finisher, and I'm lasting like 150 parts.
Nice.
And then I just move the finisher to the rougher and keep going. So,
yeah. Adding more and more kind of rougher finisher combos to the hardened steel part that I was just doing, like, that's kind of how I got all of my tolerances to work out. Like, I was doing so much of it with one tool. Like, I had just my 3/16 inch rougher, and then like I think I was using a 1/4 inch still for the outside finishing. But breaking that up into multiple tools with several roughers and several finishers is how I did it.
Yeah, speaking of Frasia, though, they did ask me, the Frasia guy who listens to the podcast. Hi, guy. You know who you are. I don't want to shout
Fraser.
Frazier, yeah. I don't know if he wants a shout out or not. I'll have to ask him before I blast his name. Anyways, he was listening to the podcast. He wanted to get a piece of the material to do some test cuts on, so he can see if he can figure out what's going on. So I sent him some pieces of material. I still need to send him a dummy model of the feature so that he can do it, but that he's going to do some test cuts and he's going to see if they can reproduce the problem and figure out what's going on with the milled part. So
what kind of tool holder were you using?
The only tool holder I have.
ERs?
Yep.
I wonder if that would have made a difference.
Potentially. So I've been talking about it for a long time, but I would love to get more better holders.
We should go back to like the early episodes of the podcast and see when the first time you mentioned going RegoFix was.
Yeah, because I've talked about it for a long time, but the thing about, getting a business up and going is that there's always something you need more than the thing you want.
Yeah.
It's like tool holders. I don't know how much of an improvement they're going to be, but having a second air compressor for if something happens is, that's a better investment. Or, getting a robot so you can run overnight, or there's some other big purchases we've had. There's always some other purchase that's going to have a bigger effect on the company overall to not allow us to get the RegoFix yet. It seems like.
Yeah. But at the same time, if it helps your tool life by 25% or reduces, your setup and prototyping time.
Yeah, definitely. But it's all.
It's the urgent, important.
Yes.
Trade-off thing.
Exactly. And I'm to the point now where basically all of my machines are running round the clock, and I'm having to start turn away work because we can't take any more.
Send it to Subtract.
So maybe we'll see. Or I might just send them your way then. That might be the better thing to do. But yeah, so that's kind of where we're at. Is we're slammed until probably August.
Okay.
And then and it might be end of August. I'd have to go look at but for the next month, all my machines are gonna be running around the clock.
Yeah.
As much as possible. So
I got a Audacity RFQ today and they're like, hey, when can you make these parts? And I had to tell them 2027.
Oh, really?
Not because Audacity is going to be that busy over the next 6 months, but I'm starting kind of a teaching phase for the rest of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Before actually transition, it's official now, officially transitioning out of that role. But they have me booked pretty solid to the end of the year. So Audacity will be, pretty darn light. Unless maybe Mongo gets up and running and he can make parts without me.
Yeah. So, but besides those things, trying to think if there's anything else major happening. Oh, one thing that I don't know if I talked about. Did I talk about vehicles?
You said that Weston wants you to get a truck.
Yeah. So I should be getting a truck here soon. Ooh. It will actually be Weston's old truck. So
okay.
So what's happening is
Weston gets the new truck?
It's not a new truck. It's actually an older truck than what he currently has. But long story short, he wanted an F-250 instead of an F-150 because he's got a big trailer he needs to haul around, and his F-150 has a hard time doing it. So that's the reason he wanted a new truck. And then he wanted me just to have a truck, which I needed today because he was gone and the aluminum was full and I didn't have anything to dump. Yeah. So I had to call a buddy not a buddy. I had to call my dad to come bring his truck by so he could go dump it for me. But Weston's grandfather was selling his truck, and he found out that we were looking for a truck, and so Weston bought the truck from him
Nice.
through the business, and then he's getting his grandpa's old truck, and then I'm going to get Weston's old truck. So, and then we talked about selling my car versus keeping it, and I think we're going to turn it into a shop runaround car, where if anyone needs to go do something really quick, they can just hop in it and take that instead of a truck.
Yeah.
So, and that'll also allow us to, like, if we wanted employee Ben to go make a delivery, he can take the car and go make deliveries and have it under insurance. So, under our company insurance instead of using his personal vehicle.
Yeah.
So,
which gets weird.
Yeah. So if we can have him do that, then there might be times where me or Weston would have to go make a delivery, where we can send him to go make a delivery, which will make it easier on everyone. So,
yeah, that's not a thing you necessarily want the business owner doing, unless maybe you're doing it for some like kind of sales, customer service type purchase. But if you're just like dropping off parts at a vendor and you're not going to see anybody involved with making decisions or whatever, it's like not an owner task. That is an employee task.
So what we've been doing in the past is that either me or Weston does it, or one of our dads. Like, if our dads are like going in the direction of one of those people that day, we'll be like, "Hey, do you want to swing by, pick up some parts, and drop it off on your way to wherever you're going?" And they'll come do that. So they'll sometimes make deliveries for us, which is nice. It allows us to focus on the shop. But they don't always have the ability to do that. And when they don't, me or Weston have to go do it. So having Ben being able to do it will be nice.
Yeah. And it's amazing how fast that kind of thing will eat your day.
Yeah. 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 So looking forward to that. Yeah. It's about all I can think of major last week. What about you? Anything else? Or was you pretty light, like you said?
So yeah, I kind of worked on that hardened steel job. It took 2 or 3 days longer than I had hoped for. Overall, it was relatively straightforward. My problems were, I had some tool breakage at the beginning that we had to deal with, and that's because I was trying to do basically everything with my normal 3/16 inch rougher, and it was just a lot to ask in terms of machine time in hardened steel with a 3/16 inch tool. So broke up the tool paths to use more tools, and kind of threw in some extra roughers and finishers in there.
What brands of tools are you using on these, out of curiosity?
These, I think, were just all Haas tools.
Oh, all Haas tools.
I use Haas tools a lot at this point. As much as I like a lot of the other companies, like I just order them, they show up next day, they're cheap, they work fine.
Do you get Haas bucks?
I do get Haas bucks.
Okay.
I think I have like a grand total of 300 because I really don't buy that much tooling. My tooling bill would appall you with how small it is.
Yeah, I think we have a multiple $1,000s in Haas bucks.
Yeah. If I'm doing a month of just job shop work, like not doing anything else, my tooling bill is hundreds of dollars at most.
Yeah.
Which
ours is more.
I did have to buy it would have been a 4 to 5 inch micrometer for this job, because apparently my biggest one was 2 to 3 inches. Or no, it was 3 to 4 inches. So I had a 0 to 1, a 1 to 2, a 2 to 3, and a 3 to 4. And so now I also have a 4 to 5. So
were these hardened parts the ones that we were talking about a few weeks ago that you were trying to figure out how to hold, and we talked about them?
Yep. And I used that solution. Oh, actually, I didn't talk about the other big problem I had with them, which is why one of the reasons why they were hard to get started. So these were out of heat treated round stock, right?
Mm-hmm.
And 1/2 inch diameter, more than 4 inches long. I don't remember how long they were. They were more oversized than they needed to be. There was lots of extra length. And my original plan was to put them in a collet chuck on the 9-to-5 axis and just kind of rotate them a couple times and make the part. Then the material got here, and seeing it for the first time in person and not on the computer, I went, "Oh, this was terrible idea. This is never going to work. It's just going to sing and chatter, and my tool life would have been really bad in that case. So we went to plan B, which was to do an op zero. In the op zero, it basically milled a flat on each end of the bar and a hole, a clearance hole for a 1/4-20 screw, and I screwed them down to a fixture that kind of cupped around them. Well, I learned that the act of screwing those bars down would distort them a little bit because they warped a little bit in heat treat. Not crazy. We're not talking like, full banana, but they may have moved by, 10 thou or 15 thou across the bar. And they were pretty consistently bananaed. So when I was running them, if I wasn't paying attention to the orientation, the screws would kind of de-bananify them when you clamp them down. And then you would machine your part, you would loosen your screws, and they would re-bananify, which would present itself in after op 2 as the middle being undersized and then the outside being on-sized. And that's the thing that took me a while to figure out.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what was causing it. I kept blaming my soft jaws. So I kept machining them a little bit deeper to make sure they were flat and making sure there was enough corner relief everywhere and nothing was interfering. But no, it was just that they were bending in that op 1. And my solution to that was before I loaded all of the parts for the op 0, I would put it on my surface plate and then roll it until the two ends, the two ends that would become the screw holes later, those were down. So the banana was in a naturally unstable position with the hump of the banana facing up and the 2 feet on the end. It was in St. Louis arch mode. And then I would load it carefully in that orientation, run my op 0, move it into op 1, and then op 2. And that solved all my issues.
There is definitely an art of having parts move and how to machine it to keep that from causing problems.
Yep.
Because I have had that happen on both large parts and small parts. And it can be a challenge.
The embarrassing thing is I have a slideshow that I show students, and most of the time it's one of the first things I teach them. And it's AJ's rules for precision machining. And by AJ's rules, I mean rules that AJ has stolen from other people. And the very first rule that I've stolen from other people is everything is rubber.
I wouldn't say this one's everything is rubber, though.
It is because it's bending. But the number 4th rule is material moves when you machine it.
Yes.
So this is my rules.
This is internal stresses. If everything's rubber, it would be like everything's rubber and everything's a spring.
Yeah.
Because you machine that stuff away and then it springs.
In this case, it wasn't internal stresses, I don't think. It was the rubberization of it. It was tightening it down and preloading that spring. And then the spring just unsprung itself when loosened.
Yeah, but sorry.
I don't think this one was internal stresses. That's normally what gets me. But
you were machining an op 0, and the way you're holding it in op 0, you're saying was causing the deformation?
So it wasn't necessarily the way I was machining it in op 0. It was the way I was loading it in op 1, which was then determined by how I machined it in op 0. So if I machined it as a lake, right? It has these 2 little arms sticking up on either side. Then when you screw it down, it becomes flat. But then when you release the screws, it springs back up.
Yeah. So
and then when you load it into op 2, which is just in soft jaws, it's still in this shape, and you cut off the bottom of it, and you end up with the middle being too thin and the outsides being the right height.
Yeah. So in your machining of op 0, it's springing down.
No, it was happening in op 1 because op 0 did was machine some flats in a hole.
Yes, but didn't you say that it was when you bolted down op 1, it would flatten it out?
Correct.
So that means that op 0 was creating a bend.
No, the bend was already there from heat treat.
If you're machining it away, though, you're creating
not in op 0. It gets machined away in op 1.
What were you machining in Op-Zero? Just some flats?
Literally 2 flats and 2 holes.
I guess I'd have to see it.
The flats were a ½ inch on either side of this 5-inch bar. Just big enough for a 1/4 screw.
Then how were you flattening it down while tightening it?
Well, if it was bananaed up, you would tighten one side first, and then it would flatten it back down. If it was in arch mode, the middle, like I never had chatter issues in the middle there, but the screws on the 2 ends wouldn't distort it because there was no clamps in the middle. The clamps were only on the ends.
Do I need to bring back my pen and paper?
Maybe. You can draw something else obscene.
I've had so many people reach out to me about that. It's been hilarious. Like a lot of people make suggestions. Like I think having props makes people want to like jump in and help out a lot more. So like if I actually want help, I'm gonna have to start drawing props more. And then the community will go, "Oh, someone drew a dick pic. Let me help out."
You definitely cut out there for a second, but I'm gonna laugh and smile at what you said. By the way, my internet keeps coming in and out, and I lose you for like 4 seconds. So if I ever just smile and nod, I just lost you for a second.
I've been doing this the whole time with you. You've been cutting in and out constantly. I just didn't say anything.
I love how at this point we can podcast while only like 25% listening to the other person.
Yes, like I'm catching. That's why I couldn't understand how you were cutting and doing things, because like I was only getting like a third of it.
I think the problem is, and this is funny, I think the problem is the leaves on the tree. Because I installed that like wireless bridge thing. And by installed, I mean I stuck up a temporary solution that's still there and it hasn't been permanentified. And there is a tree between the sending point and the receiving point. And this tree is kind of a late leaf getter. And it was fine when it had less leaves. But as the leaves have gotten heavier, and it's like the tree has drooped recently, and it's drooped down into the line of sight. And I think that is actually hurting my network speed. I have my dad booked to come like install it the right way, and we just haven't gotten there yet. So if the wind blows, the tree gets in my way even more, and my connection gets worse.
Fair enough.
Do you guys have crazy hot weather right now?
It is not cold. So yes.
Our like temperature wise, like pure temperature, it's not bad right now. It's like, I don't know, 87 or 90 or something, which is definitely not unheard of in this area in June, almost July. But the humidity is wild out there.
So I'm looking at the temperature right now, and it's 85 cooling down.
Yeah.
So the high today, it looks like was 83, or that's not 83, 93.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the high tomorrow looks like it's 92.
What's the heat index though? Because we're kind of the same temperatures, but we've been having heat index of like 104.
I don't know if this one tells heat index. Its humidity is just under 70%, 68%. So
I am so glad that we insulated the shop well. It is wild how well this building stays heated in the winter and cooled in the summer now.
Yeah, my weather app doesn't say heat index on it.
Yeah.
So what's your heat index?
It was like 104 earlier today. I'm sure it's gone down some now, but it's only going to get worse throughout this. I went on a run at like probably 9 or 9:30, and that was far too late in the day. I went half as far as I was planning on and went, nope, not worth it.
I can tell how much hotter the shop is getting during the day, because it used to be that you'd go between the shop and the QC room and there wasn't that big of a temperature difference.
Uh-huh.
Now you step from the shop into the QC room and you're like, whoa, it's so cold in here.
Yeah, you guys were having issues with your AC not keeping up. Did you guys ever do anything to remedy that?
I mean, we've got 2 AC units that are basically going full time.
Is that new or is that the status quo?
That's the status quo. When we add an addition, we're going to add another AC unit.
Okay.
So
it's going to get hot in the summer for you.
Yeah, so with both AC units going, it can get up to about 77 degrees in the shop.
Yeah. That's not as bad as it could be, especially if they remove the humidity. But that's warmer than I would like it.
It's warmer than I would like it. It's only like that towards the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Like it slowly creeps up all day. It starts off at about 72 and it creeps up to about 77 by the end of the day.
Yeah.
So it starts off at 72, 73, somewhere in there. And then just as the day goes, it heats up. So, and I'm sure that's only going to get worse as we have more and more machines running overnight.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
Oh, I will say something. We had a very interesting electric bill come in.
How so?
So you know how we got our services upgraded to?
Uh-huh.
Okay. We got over a 10x increase in our energy usage.
Weird.
So I think they just, when they installed a new meter, they didn't update their system. And basically we had like an almost 5-figure bill. So
that
it
seems
was like,
excessive.
Yeah. And Weston was like, we're not paying this, but just come look at this because this is crazy. Like you see all of our months of like energy usage, and they're like, and then you see the next month, it's like, whoop.
How? Like, what would they?
I think it's because they just changed out the meters, and like, I don't know how they reset their readings on it, and like it was looking at a previous reading and then a new reading, and it thought we used a shit ton of electricity
because it just like it's like an odometer that just counts up.
Yeah,
and when they changed meters, that one happened to be at a different point.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And so it thought we used a ton of electricity.
Harrison became a data center.
Basically. So I don't know if he's gotten that sorted out yet, but it was like, there is no way we used an over 10 times increase in the amount of electricity in a single month. That or data energy rates are insane.
Or Weston is Bitcoin mining. Bitcoin mining, not Bitcoin mining.
At that rate, he better be making us some good money.
Yeah. Or, like I said, data center. You can go the Allbirds route.
Yeah. So that was fun. I had something I was going to say, and I forgot it about the shop. I'll remember it here in a bit.
Oh, I've gotten farther on my lean Kanban implementation. Scott came over on Saturday and kind of helped me print some cards and get some more stuff, Kanbanified. So we were mostly just hanging out, so we did not get a ton done. But we got probably another, dozen cards or 24 cards in place. I have one shelf that is what I'm calling controlled inventory. And then I have, currently it is an area because I'm ripping out a built-in shelf and replacing it with one of my pallet rack shelves. And I'm just going to call it uncontrolled inventory.
Mm-hmm.
So the stuff that like I need to run the business will be in controlled inventory, and it'll be Kanbanified, and it'll all be really organized. And then I'll have like the stuff that I don't want to get rid of and that like I will certainly use at one point, but also definitely not something that I need to manage the inventory of. Like blue Tapcon screws. Like, sure, I use them occasionally, but if I have to go to Menards to pick them up, it will not end the business. Like, it's fine. Or Sawzall blades. Like, do I use Sawzall blades? Absolutely. Do I need to inventory them? No. So I have my controlled inventory and my uncontrolled inventory, and I think that's a pretty reasonable compromise. And I added a tool into AMRP where you can import a Fusion library. So, and it generates Kanban cards. Now the problem is I need to make sure that everything in my Fusion library is correct to what I actually buy. Spoilers, it's not. So.
Now, you're still using Toolpath in a lot of your quoting for Subtract.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I like the Toolpath quoting library is the library that I actually use in my shop.
Okay.
So plus some stuff that I'll never actually run like a 3/4 inch end mill. But
so this is what I was going to say that I remembered now. ProShop is about to get a major overhaul.
So what are they doing to it?
Weston did all the presentation with. Well, I focused on the shop where he kind of went into a meeting and they talked about all the changes, but they're bringing in a lot of AI features that are going to be really cool. One of them is AI quoting. Another one is going to be it'll have an AI that'll track the stuff as it's going through the shop, and it'll try to help you utilize your machines to try to organize your workflows to like, hey, to keep a higher machine utilization, structure your work orders to go this machine, then this machine, then this machine, then this machine. And if it sees a machine that's not being used, it'll be like, hey, you can fit these parts on this machine if you based off of your workflows.
So that I bet it'll do very well. That's the kind of thing that AI is pretty darn good at doing. I'm really, really curious as to how they're doing quoting, because that is something that like Jacob and I talk about a lot. Oh, and quoting 2.0 actually made significant progress last week. That was the other thing I worked on is quoting 2.0, which just subtracts new quoting system. But the like how you solve quoting for machining is a really difficult problem.
Yeah. But they're doing other stuff where I don't know what all they're doing with it, but they're basically going to have integrated chatbot that knows your business basically, and so you can ask it questions about specific things that you're doing, and it can make suggestions based on what's going on your specific stuff. So it's like it's better AI integration. It's going to be better quoting and better planning for how to push jobs through the shop.
I'm interested to see how that works out.
Yeah, I am too. So because we've wanted to use Toolpath.
Oh, we're talking over each other.
Oh, you there?
Yep.
So we wanted to use Toolpath, and we demoed it a couple times or twice, and it just with our current workflow, it wasn't as good of a fit as I was hoping it would be.
Yeah, it's not the right solution for you.
Yeah.
But going back before we roboted, so I bought a Fitbit, which I promise is on topic here. The Fitbit comes with the Google app, which the Google app, keeps track of all your health and data stuff, but it has an AI in there that, talks to you like a coach about like your running or, your calories, what you ate that day, and all that kind of stuff. And I thought that would be kind of gimmicky and not particularly useful, but it's legitimately like one of my favorite features on there. And, it's one, like calorie logging became really simple because you just kind of talk to it like a person and, like, hey, I ate this and it goes, cool, I'll log that. And then also like, it, helps plan my workouts and like it, it'll yell at you for doing dumb things. Like the other day, I definitely had like a bowl of ice cream right before I went to sleep. And then because it does sleep tracking too, it was like, hey, dummy, you didn't sleep as well because you ate a bowl of ice cream immediately before going to bed. And, stuff like that, which like, but maybe don't think about. And so like, if that works this well for something like a Fitbit, I could see it actually doing pretty well with an ERP, assuming all of the information in your ERP is accurate and up to date and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So I'm curious about that. I'm very skeptical about the AI quoting. But we'll see how that goes.
Yep.
I had a breakthrough in quoting 2.0 finally, which let me make progress.
Woohoo!
So my problem was I was making it too complicated. And the reason it was too complicated is there was a variable, a factor that I was trying to take into account, which was, or two of them, risk and complexity, and trying to use the risk and the complexity of the job to change the prices as they came out. And I had those two variables kind of intertwined throughout like all of the math that I was trying to do. And like, for example, the complexity would add to the amount of inspection cost and the amount of setup cost. And the amount of risk was going to add to the machine rate and that kind of stuff. And so like I had those two variables kind of spread everywhere, throughout the whole process, like where they would actually apply. But as I was trying to tune quoting 2.0, it made it basically impossible because what numbers do you use for risk and complexity? I don't know. And the only way to really figure that out is to do a whole bunch of quotes and graph them and see how you need to adjust your coefficients to come out with the numbers that you want. And I realized that trying to do it that way made things way overly complex, ironically, and way too difficult to like tune and stuff. And so I started being smart and just breaking out all of the things that like you can control pretty well and like you can isolate. So things like material cost, I was adding extra material in there for risk and complexity. If it's a risky or complex part, you order material. Everyone knows, or you order more material. Everyone knows that. And like I had those factors kind of built into that already, but that made tuning the material pricing basically impossible. And as soon as I took that out, I was able to, kind of very quickly come up with a good way of estimating material cost. And I actually built basically like a little quiz app where it would give me a stock size. It would be like, we need 50 parts of, 1 inch by 2 inch by 3 inch aluminum to do this job, price it out. And so it would quiz me and I would go like, where I would go buy that material and get a quote on it. And I would feed that number back into the little calibration tool that I had made, and it would stick it on a graph, and then it would generate another random set of materials for me, and I would go quote that. And I just quoted out a whole bunch of different material sizes at a whole bunch of different quantities, and we're able to kind of adjust the math to make the curve that the machine was predicting match to reality pretty close. And that's like dialed now, at least for aluminum. I haven't done it for any of the other materials because it takes a lot of time. You have to do a lot of quotes. But aluminum is dialed where we can predict the right price if it's like, I need to make one piece out of a cubic inch of aluminum, or like, we need 10,000 pieces. So that's getting really good. The machine time is also, or like the machine cost is also pretty good. That's kind of based off of like an hourly rate for the machine and, kind of how long we think everything is going to take. Like, there's a budgeted time for like setting a tool and a budgeted time for a setup, and different rates now for 2-axis lathes versus 3-axis lathes versus 3-axis mills versus 5-axis mills. Before we didn't have any way of differentiating the like machine cost per hour, and now that's all kind of broken out into basically different configurations.
Yeah, so
that's starting to get good. I'm working on on the math to estimate packaging costs, which is I'm kind of doing the same thing that I'm doing for like the materials, where it's like, okay, how would I pack this part? How would I pack this part? How much does it cost? And then the last thing that I will tackle will be the complexity and the risk factors, which I'll just throw on top of everything else. So quoting 2.0 is finally making progress after a long time of Jacob yelling at me and then me going, I don't know what to do.
I had one other update that I forgot. And
what's that?
This is turning into a Frasier love podcast a little bit.
Frasier's going to like you.
Yeah. But I did demo their aluminum cutting end mill, and that thing is a beast. I'm running some aluminum parts right now, and it's on a 40-minute program. It shaved about 4 minutes.
Nice.
Of time off of it. And my spindle load dropped by about 20%. So
push it harder.
Yeah. So I can. The problem is it's on a vacuum plate, and I don't want to push it too much harder. Like I can, because I obviously had the percentage there before, but I'm trying not to push it too terribly hard. I like it. I was so high before that I was like worried about it, and now I'm at like a comfort level where I can walk away and not have to stress about it accidentally popping off.
Which is where you want to be.
Yeah. So I'm faster and I have a lower spindle load. The only problem with it is that it produces such tiny chips that when you run the augers, they all go down the little holes for the coolant to go back into the tray, and they just fill up the tray, and they don't make it out the chute to like because I'm using it on the VF.
Yeah.
Which doesn't have a conveyor, it has an auger, and it pushes those chips over the hole, and they're so tiny that they all fall through, and like it fills up the chip tray in the back like crazy. That's my biggest complaint. But like I'll take that over how much of an improvement it is in every other way. So, and we're just using the 3/8, but I might end up having to get a 1/2-inch version for some of the larger parts because it is. We were comparing it to the Core 5, and that Core 5 has been. It's the tool that we started out with back in the Tormach days, and I've just never really questioned it until I tried the 3 flute, and you know, it's a big improvement over that.
Nice.
So, which is why it's why in machining.
So how much does Fraser paying you?
Huh? What?
I know you're getting a cut of this.
No, what I was going to say is Weston gets so frustrated because we're constantly trying new tools, and he wants to have a standard library, but we're always finding better tools and swapping things out constantly. And it means our library is evolving, which is good, but it also means that like whenever we run up old programs, we always have to go back and update a bunch of stuff, and we can't just go in and run them. But we're getting better, so it is a good thing, but our library and like trying to find dedicated tool numbers is a challenge because everything's constantly in flux. And then when we do find a new tool, we that we like, we try to use up the old tool until it's gone, and then we switch over to the new one. And so that creates problems. And so it's an ever changing cycle. And so it's just one of those things that like it's the tool library has become a living entity rather than something that's static that you just use. And a lot of it is like specific jobs that come up, like the ones I've been talking about, where we have to try a bunch of tools to find the right tool for the job. And then once we find the right tool, it'll stay, but we end up with a whole bunch of other random tools that just didn't work. And it's like, what do you do with those?
Sell them on eBay.
Yeah, I don't want to do that, but because they're used.
Yeah.
But we try to use them up until they're done, and then
training the new guy.
Yeah. So, but it's just one of those things where sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, we really like that tool. So, but I'm probably not going to really get too many more until we use up the rest of our other tools. So we really need to use up the rest of our Core 5s, and then I'll probably be switching to that one.
Mm-hmm.
So, but what else?
We have questions still.
Oh, we have questions? Okay. Do we want to do questions before Patreon or Patreon before questions?
I mean, Patreon before questions is the tradition.
It is the tradition.
Yes. So, speaking of traditions, we have Patreons. The Patreons keep the lights on and the wheels turning. Something about trains. I don't know. That's the other podcast. We really appreciate them. All Patreons who pay any amount to get access to our Patreon Discord, which is a super great, awesome place, especially if you have a Tormach 1500 MX, apparently, because we're now just the unofficial support group for those. But we have just a really, really good community there. Hangouts every Friday. It is generally a great place. You can join at the free tier or pay, and you get access to our weekly Q&A, which we will do shortly here. Or you can pay a whole lot like G28 Machining, who's a precision job shop focused on solving tough problems, reverse engineering, repair work, and production overflow. They run live tool lathes, 5-axis milling to handle complex parts efficiently. They have an 0702 FFL Oh, they are in 0702 FFL producing firearms components and silencers. So if you need machining, check them out, especially if you need that FFL. So we appreciate all of our Patreons. Our Patreons at $15 a month or more are, and should I read them twice because we didn't do it last week?
Go for it.
Okay, I'm going to regret this. We have CJ at CS Machine and Fabrication, and CJ at CS Machine and Fabrication, Mike at G28 Machining, Mike at G28 Machining, Brian at Headco, Matt at Modern Fuel, Russell M, Joseph E, Brian B, Brian B, Jacob S, Chris at CDS Plastics, John S, Alex H, Avery M, Crispy at Poudre Creek Precision, Josh at Leighton Machining, Millen Y, Devin C, Christian O, Stephen M, Daniel R, James the Multrimade, Ryan Strata Manufacturing, Kyle at Chris Machine, Devin at Sinister Machine Works, Greg at Frogtown Manufacturing, James N, Bennett Prickly Pear Prototypes, Cam S, Shep at Alderson Prototyping, Jacob at Zona Precision, Jason at JLS Machine, Joshua H, Christian Z, Leland B, Freaky Climber, Prescott at 1Z2Z Systems, Trey V, Alexander B, Scott designed the everything, Jamie Nocturnal Welding. Oh, and I just bought a whole bunch of barnacles. EJ at Nocturnal Welding, Chris at Zyke Precision, Chris at Thought Bomb Design, and as ever, Jake Brownson. And as ever, Jake Brownson.
Have you ever selected an option on Fusion, realized you made a horrible mistake, seen your computer freeze up as it's making all these ridiculous calculations and going, oh, I wish I hadn't just selected that option? Because I think this was the verbal version of that, where I'm listening to this thing going, I started this. And I wish I hadn't selected that option.
You should have said no, Harrison. We are never doing that again, Patrons. I don't care how many reads we miss.
I am not. It's like watching a train wreck in slow motion and just going, ow, ow, ow.
When I started, I wasn't going to commit and do the whole thing. I was just going to do like the first 3, and then it just kept coming.
Oh, that was good. You committed. I will say, you committed. Bravo.
This is like, the Patreon read is just like speech therapy.
I was thinking that while you were going. I was like, this would be great speech therapy tactics for someone. I
think I legitimately have gotten better at speaking, like the whole saying words thing, specifically because of the Patreon read.
That's
not the
funny.
Putting together sentences thing. I still struggle with that.
Oh, goodness.
Okay, question. This is the one we skipped from Kyle last week. Should I read it twice?
No.
Okay. How do you handle allocating profit for capital investments, facilities, build-outs, new machines, etc.? How do you look at financing, higher down payment versus lower monthly payment, shorter versus longer terms, early payoffs, etc.?
So, how do we handle allocating profit for capital investments? We do profit first. We have a bucket that we put that money into, and it just grows over time. And then we pick an item off of our list, and that's where we pull from. So, for larger ones, that usually involves getting a loan. Then we will save until we have enough for the down payment, pull from that for the down payment, and then once we get the loan, then we make monthly payments on the loan.
And does it come out of a different bucket at that point?
What? Once it's a loan, it starts coming out of operating expenses, OpEx.
So CapEx is just for down payments.
Yeah, CapEx is just for down payments or smaller purchases. So like anything less than about $10,000 we'll save up for in in CapEx, and then we'll pull from there whenever we're buying it. So, and there's always something that we need to buy, and so it's always getting used. But and then how do we look at financing higher down payments versus lower monthly payments, shorter versus longer, and all that stuff? Typically, we try to keep everything at less than 5 years. And whatever it takes to do that, we'll try to make it 5 years or less. And that's kind of the time frame that we kind of like. If we can do less than that, we will do less than that. But if it's more than that, then it doesn't make sense for us as a business. And so until we can find a way to make that, either with a higher down payment, or usually it's just a higher down payment, or maybe less options depending on what it is. Like, for example, with our CMM, we were looking at our initial build out. We ended up taking a bunch of options off of that and dropping it down by like a quarter of what we originally quoted, to realizing that we didn't need it to do all the fancy stuff that we were looking for. And I'm glad we made that decision. We are using it a lot more. It is a little bit of a pain every once in a while. It would be nice to have that option, but it's not so much of a pain that like I regret making that decision.
Yeah.
What about you?
I definitely do this less systematically now that I'm not on Profit First anymore. I kind of do it from a backward planning perspective, like, looking at the future goals of the company, the vision of the company. Okay, I know that I want to be, as automated and as hands off as possible. Therefore, I need a robot. How much are we going to, or how much is a robot going to cost? When do I want it by? Like, how much fixturing do I need? And kind of go backwards from there to figure everything out. In terms of looking at financing, definitely higher down payment as long as it's not compromising the amount of cash you have on hand. And of course, shorter if you can. I regretted getting the 3-year loan on the Haas. I should have gotten a 2-year. I just kind of like the payments on that thing were so low that it would have been nice just to be done with them earlier. Absolutely avoid balloon payments if you can. I would avoid those at all costs, because it does bad things for your interest. And if you want to like pay it off early, it makes paying things off early a lot more difficult. So definitely no balloon payments. And I would pay things off as early as possible. At this point, Audacity is like, and I guess it has been for a couple months, but 100% debt free. Other than some like software and stuff, like there's zero fixed costs for Audacity, which makes it really easy for me to go teach for a couple months or whatever. And there's not a constant cash suck at my bank account, because everything right now for me is variable. There's no fixed costs, which is very different than Harrison's business. And I was going to say, amount of money I can put through Audacity is way less than Harrison's business. But I have a feeling that I am less stressed than Harrison. So I don't know. You choose.
Well, different types of stress.
And at different times.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but yeah, like we definitely have that stress of, many multiple monthly payments, between, Pro Shop, the building, utilities, a whole bunch of different machine payments. I think we've got only one machine paid off in the entire shop at this stage. So like all of that stuff adds up to where we have to be bringing in a certain amount of cash flow every month. Otherwise, things get tight. So that's definitely something that like this year more than any other year has really been a major factor. Because we've grown so much and so fast that it's at that point where we need to start getting some stuff paid down before we start doing too many more loans.
Yeah, you guys have been in a growth phase for a long time. It's time for you to enter a profit phase.
Yeah. So we're not struggling, but we're also, for the amount of cash that we're bringing in, we're not nearly as profitable as, someone with a fully paid off shop and less machines would be.
Yeah.
So, but we are keeping all of this, the bulk of the spindles turning. Ironically, the machine that's paid off is the one that is used the least.
The lathe.
The lathe, the 2-axis lathe. Like,
Yeah.
it has the least amount of work out of any one of the shop, bar none. Like, I'm glad we got it, but it's also been like the machine that has pulled the least amount of weight ever. Like, it's helped us get stuff going, and it's taught us how to use a lathe. Like, going straight into a dual spindle Y-axis lathe without any prior experience on any lathe would have been probably too much. So, as an educational tool and like get us into the lathe side, it was good. But it is definitely, it's also the cheapest machine in the shop. So, like, by how much it cost versus how much work it's done, it might pencil out. But compared to the other machines, like, our most profitable machine, bar none, is the UMC, because it is just running around the clock. Like, it's almost at 3,000 hours, and it's by far the most utilized machine in the building. It's almost has 200,000 tool changes.
Okay.
So, like, it is running round the clock. But it's also our most expensive machine if you include the robot as a packaged deal.
Yeah, definitely.
So the cheapest machine is the least profitable machine, and the most expensive combo machine is the most revenue generating machine.
That's at least how it should be. If it was like your cheapest machine that was your most revenue generating machine, then something's gone horribly wrong.
Yeah. But it is nice to see that like that the 2-axis lathe being the oldest and cheapest machine, it also shows how inexperienced we were at the beginning compared to now as well. Like, it was all part of the learning experience.
Yep.
So, would it be nice to go back and make different decisions? Possibly, but at the same time, the philosophy we had back then, and I don't disagree with the philosophy, was buy the nicest machine we could afford that we could try to grow into. And at the time, even though looking at that machine today, we go, man, that's a really cheap machine. I mean, a fully loaded Tormach 1500 is probably more expensive than that lathe.
Yeah.
For what we paid for it back then.
I think you can get a 1500 up to like 60K.
Yeah, and that's basically what we paid for that lathe. So, like, it's by machine standards, it's not a lot of money from like what we do today.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. Anyways,
from Rune, how did you learn to program?
Does crashing machines count?
Absolutely.
I was going to say YouTube and machine crashes, which is why I started out with a Tormach.
Yeah. I mean, I bootstrapped up through a lot of smaller machines first. Going back to my very first CNC little millwright router that was made from MDF and was, I don't know, like $180 or something. Like, I don't know. Programming things is how you learn how to program. Like, There's enough resources out there. Once you get started, like, once you understand the workflow of like, make a new setup, put your stock in there, set your work coordinate system, then make toolpaths, simulate post. Like, once you get that workflow, it's just a matter of practicing. So use YouTube videos to figure out the basic workflow and then practice and make parts. You learn by making parts.
Yeah.
Go buy a $300 router from Facebook Marketplace and learn on that.
And especially in the beginning, if you're getting a machine and you have very little experience, get a machine that you can afford to crash.
Yes.
and that could be afford to crash in the sense of like not hurting the machine, or cheap to fix and repair, or where your mistakes basically where your mistakes are not expensive, whatever that means. Whether that means your machine can take those lumps and not get hurt, or the lumps it takes are cheap and easy to fix.
Which Tormachs fit both of those categories, which is why they're so perfect for people learning.
Yeah, but I would argue that the 1500,
not the 1500, but like anything smaller.
Yeah, I would say that machine is crossing that threshold, I would say.
Yes.
Like, I would probably stick with one of the other machines below that for sure.
Yeah, if you're first learning by crashing.
Yeah.
Get yourself a 440 or something, or a 770.
Yeah. And you could even get like a used machine for for a little while. Like, it doesn't have to be new. Like, there's a lot of used machines out there. I mean, even like a router CNC, or like one of the educational ones. Like, you need to learn how to program and what to watch out for. Like, you can watch 100 videos on how to do it, but until you actually start programming and cutting material, that's like there's not that much risk.
Yeah. Programming isn't the hard part of programming. It's generally work holding and just knowing how to approach parts.
Yeah.
That's where
and feeds and speeds. Like you can simulate all you want, but a toolpath that looks good on the computer, you could be going too fast, too slow, building up heat, overloading tools, causing them to break. Like, you're not going to learn any of that via simulation.
Yeah. At least with that, you can like stick your library into pre-tool and get pretty good speeds and feeds, which maybe don't hold up for a router, I suppose. But
yeah, but like, even if you got good feeds and speeds, those feeds and speeds, you might have to adjust depending on your work holding.
Yeah. And you need to know kind of how to adjust things. Like, when do you adjust feed? When do you adjust depth of cut? When do you adjust SFM?
Yeah.
And that you just get by practicing.
Yep.
So that's what I tell my students all the time is like, you get better by making parts. So we're going to make parts.
Yeah. There's no substitution for that.
Yeah. Kyle from Kirsch Machine again. AJ's 20K month update. If you count cheating, I have exceeded it. If you don't count cheating, I have one more job lined up right now that wouldn't bring me to 20K anyway. It would put me around 18. So if you count cheating, though, I'm at like 28 because I sold the Haas.
Oh. Yeah, that's definitely cheating.
Yeah. The other place I could cheat to make my numbers look better that I won't is there is a couple subtract jobs. And you could argue that I get all of the money for that instead of just the portion that's paid to Audacity Micro. But that doesn't count. But one of the jobs, like one of the very first ones, the steel parts where I used the SensaThreader on, like I only took half of that and the other half went to subtract. So technically I got double. And that would bring me actually probably just about to the 20K. But I'm not going to count that. So I will be short. I think I'm going to end at like 18-ish.
Which is not bad with one machine.
Which is not bad. Oh, do you know what? I actually wasn't including costs of this last job, so I guess I'm at like 17. But yeah. That's still pretty good.
That's really good for one machine. What would that be? Oh, hang on. I got to do some math here.
It's around $1,000 a day if you assume that I only worked weekdays, which I didn't.
Yeah, so that's almost $1,000 a day, which is my target per machine.
Yeah,
I don't always hit it, especially on that lathe or on the lathe that's not running 90% of the time. So it's more.
And are you targeting revenue or profit?
Revenue.
So this is profit.
Oh yeah, I don't get near that for profit.
Yeah. Now, like I've said this a couple times, I could not do this sustained with my current setup. This is like AJ works really hard for 1 month and not something that I would want to maintain. If these hardened steel parts did finish like 3 days earlier, like they were supposed to, and they moved one of my classes up by a week, so I lost 2 more days to that. I think it would have been doable. Like I would have just thrown in some Zom work and finished it off, but I didn't quite make it.
Yep.
So I am tempted to continue the video series until I just like until I finish, okay, fine. I went plus 5 days over or whatever. I might do that, but Theoretically, the first video is done editing now. The second video is a dumpster fire of clips, so it's going to take Pablo a long time to edit that. But the first video is supposedly done. I haven't seen it yet, though. Chris at Puda Creek Precision. I would be interested in hearing Harrison talk about pricing and profit margins, not AJ, on the kind of quantities they are running. Oh, okay, that's why. Because my quantities are 50 and me freaking out about it being so many parts. It's a completely different business model than mine, his, and mine. But he's interested in moving towards that.
I mean, it's not so different from quoting normally. The difference is if you're quoting 50,000 parts and you change it by 1 cent, that's a $500 change for every 1 cent you adjust your quote. And so it's just taking your quote and trying to remove as much guesswork as you can over reality versus what you're estimating. That's really what it boils down to. Is you can't be loosey-goosey and go, oh, I have, I think I'm going to need a full stick of material, so I'll get a stick and a half. Or, oh, I think it's going to be a 20-minute program, so I'll quote 25% or 25 minutes to do it instead, just to give me a little bit of extra buffer or whatever. Like, at those quantities, if making guesses and adjustments like that shift your quote so high one direction or another that you just can't be as imprecise, because you're either going to blow past the upper limits of what that part needs to be, or you're going to underbid it so far that you're going to miss your mark or lose a lot of money. So the best analogy I can give it to is that if I was going to go to a gun range and I was going to try to shoot a target that was 10 feet in front of me versus, 1,000 feet away from me, both of them are aiming at a target and hitting. The ability to miss that target gets a lot. The further that target goes, it's harder to hit it, and you just have to be more careful in how you're aiming.
Makes sense.
So,
are you willing to share an approximate profit margin that you aim for?
I like to try to hit above a 30% profit margin. How far above that really depends on the part and how creative we can be. And so what I would say to that is that this is where your experience and how you quote, what's a better analogy I can use? When I look at a part and I look at a part at high volumes, I will say that most of the parts, almost all the parts that we quote at extremely high volumes, are under $20 a part. So the crazy high volumes you get up to, your parts price drops way down, at least the ones that we've been quoting. And so I will look at a part as a sanity check and I'll go, okay, for this part at this quantity, what is a realistic price that makes sense for the person who's using it? And so I will kind of have in the back of my head a price that I think it should be around. And then I will quote it and I will see where my estimated price will be. Like once I've like zoomed in on the target as close as I can get, looking at, machine time, programming, setup, all that other stuff, get everything I can, get as much information, how far off that target and that I have just by looking at it am I? So that's sanity check number 1. Sanity check number 2 is I look at that and I go, okay, do I have the machine time to be able to make that part at that volume for that customer? Do I have overhead in case something goes wrong and I have to try to get them, like I have a batch that goes bad and I lose a week of production. How many parts are we talking about when that happens? There's just so many different factors that go into it. And another sanity check I'll do is I'll go, okay, if I'm using the UMC with the robot and it's running 24/7, I can have a lower hourly rate than I would for an 8-hour day because it's running 24/7. So if my goal is $1,000 a day per machine when I'm there, I might be $2,000 a day or $1,500 a day with the robot running around the clock, but I don't have to be there for all that stuff, all that time. And so now my hourly rate is much less, but my 24-hour rate is greater. If that makes sense. So like, there's not really a secret sauce that I can say, but it's the same mindset, just more focused. Is any of this making sense? Or AJ, you're kind of my sounding board here. What would this person ask me as someone who hasn't done a lot of that?
No, I think you hit all the details there. I mean, that profit margin, like what's the percentage to, kind of aim for at a minimum, I think is the number he was looking for, which is why I asked that.
I lost you.
That's fine. I would remind people that as much as we would like to think that it's our costs that determine what a customer is willing to pay, in reality, it's what the product is worth to them.
Yep.
And there's a lot of factors that determine that. If you are looking at, like some part of a product that they're going to sell, you can kind of backwards calculate how much that it needs to be for them to make sense. A good rule of thumb is that if a product is going to retail, it needs 4-to-1 margins. If a product is being sold directly to a customer, it needs at least a 2-to-1 margins. That's pretty standard for most products. So, you can look at that and go, okay, they're selling it for $100. That means they need to make them for $25. My component is 50% of what they're doing. So I need to make these for like $12. That's a thing you can kind of backwards math.
That's a very good point that we've done a couple times, is if we can go find the part online and see how much they're selling it for, that gives us a really good idea of where that part needs to be price-wise to make sense for the customer.
Yeah. And I don't know, with like Subtract, we've definitely had several people come in like, hey, make this product for us. And we've looked at their product and gone, yeah, no, there's no way we're going to get you parts at this price. We are not the right shop for you. And then we'll send them to like PCBWay.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I will say this. I haven't had to deal with this, but I've talked to people in the similar markets to I am. And as you get up there in volume, your prices get closer and closer to the cost of the material. And in some cases, especially if you start to compete with China, where all of a sudden, depending on what you're doing, and depending on what parts you're making, where sometimes the prices they want you to hit is below what you can get by the material for.
You don't want that job.
And you don't want that job at that point. So like that's the higher your volume goes up, the closer you get to being on you're competing with China front of things. So even more so than like the Xometry stuff, like, where you can send parts to China through Xometry.
Yep.
So,
all right. Last question from Jacob. If you were a soup, what kind would you be?
I don't even know how to answer that, if I'm honest.
Yeah. My first instinct says clam chowder because that's my favorite soup, but like, that's my only logic behind it. Yeah. And like, if we ask the what kind of animal would you be question, my first, like the accurate response to that is not going to be my favorite animal.
Yeah.
So what soup? It's not a chicken noodle.
I was going to say chicken
outlaw
noodle.
That one, at least for me.
Yeah, I was going to say chicken noodle for me. Chicken noodle or potato. Potato soup's pretty good too.
I want to say clam chowder, but I don't know. I feel like I need to be a sailor to say that. Maybe a chili. I'm kind of chunky.
Chunky chili.
Not the kind with noodles. We don't do that.
I have no idea how to. AI. Let me ask AI. If I was a soup, do I need to give AI a bunch of stats about me and then be like, what soup am I?
It already knows about you.
Then I should ask. That'll be fun. I'm gonna ask AI.
I can't separate this from soups that I like. Clam chowder's my favorite soup, probably followed by, I guess, chili. Is chili a soup is also a controversial question. Split pea soup, pea and ham soup. Or split pea soup, the soup with pea and ham.
Okay, AI says I would be a beef and barley soup.
Oh, I can see that. Hearty.
Yeah, it says substantial and practical, built for endurance, simple but with depth, not sweet, and reliably comfortable. Okay.
I'm asking my AI. I kind of want to ask my Fitbit now, like the AI in that app too.
Interesting. Right. It said runner up is loaded baked potato soup.
All right, we're asking my Fitbit specific AI, and went with a loaded baked potato soup.
That was my runner up.
So that kind of makes sense. We're similar but different. Not fancy for the sake of being fancy, but very practical, dense, and useful. Built for people who are actually hungry. Is that who I am? Hearty, a little overbuilt, dash, in the best way.
Mine also says for the runner up, it's hearty, filling, but a bit overbuilt.
Maybe I want more people to ask this question, because guess what my Fitbit AI says?
What?
Beef barley.
Oh, it says beef barley?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
A certain grit and resilience in those barley vibes. I want more people to ask. Okay, everybody ask your AI. The prompt is, using what you know about me, what kind of soup would I be?
That's exactly what I said.
That's so funny. Maybe we are consistent. We are the same kind of soup.
Well, it's funny that my main is like your runner up, and your runner up is my main.
Yeah, that's so funny.
Mine says I'm definitely not tomato basil. It says too delicate.
Mine says I'm not gazpacho.
Mine says I'm not sweet corn chowder. It's too sweet. Mine says I'm not a miso soup. It says you'd probably appreciate the engineering behind it, but it doesn't match your personality.
Mine says it has just enough black pepper to make it clear this was not made by a committee.
Oh.
Interesting. All right, Jacob, you need to do a soup identification test, and we'll get that in the next episode. This will be the new, what's it called? The thing that you do that tells you.
It's your personality test.
Yeah. No, but there's like a couple specific ones. What's the one that like Saunders and Pearson like?
Oh, is it the
Working Geniuses?
Yeah, Working Geniuses.
This is your soup geniuses.
Your soup geniuses.
How soupy are you feeling today? Me, out with the weather, very.
For those that watch it on YouTube, you can comment down below.
Yeah.
What soup are you? Based on AI. based on AI's knowledge of you.
I really want to know how many of the same responses we get.
Yeah, I wonder if that has because of the CNC machine. Like if that's like
just triggers the idea of baked potato and its weird web of connected ideas. Interesting.
That was a fun one, Jacob. Jacob, I did like in the beginning. I did not like that question, but it came out good. Like I really like that one now. So, all right, guys, thanks for hanging out with us on this week's episode. Please like, subscribe, and join our YouTube channel if you haven't. We are looking for more subscribers so we can get that monetized. So please subscribe if you haven't. Thanks for hanging out with us this week. We'll catch you guys next week.
Jacob, can we please have an AI soup song? Pretty please. I really want an AI soup song. Thank you.
Summer loaded baked potato, extra cheese and bacon bowl. Crowd pleasers at the table, stories hot and laughter gold.
Others beef and barley steady, roots run deep and built to last. Through the coldest One comes in with thyme and onions, one is loud with pepper flakes. One got sweet corn in the ladle, one got bones that never break. And the trick is not to sort it, not to force a single taste. When the table leans together, even odd ones fit in place. Stir it up, let it sing. Every bowl brings everything. We're all soup in the same big pot, different flavors, same warm glow. Clam chowder, cool and creamy. Chicken noodle, taking it slow. Chunky, smooth, or full of spice. Simmering under our own sky. Pass the spoon, share your bowl. Every personality's got its why. Some days the broth gets cloudy, ingredients refuse to blend, but give it time and gentle heat. Even misfits find their friends. No two recipes are perfect, that's the beauty of the stew. We're better mixed together, me and you. We're all soup in the same big pot, different flavors, same warm glow. Clam chowder, cool and creamy. Chicken noodle, taking it slow.